Libra, this is your November 2025 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is your reading. It's Romy here. Thank you very much for joining me on the channel. We're opening up with the Ace of Pentacles for you. What do you stand for? I think when you get clear on this and you're in a place where you're able to express it both to yourself and communicate it to those around you, it's going to bring a new meaning and a new focus, and that energy feels like it's bringing life to things in your world. It's almost like you're ready to evolve. There's an influx of new energy to tap into, and you know, that understanding feels like it's offering up new community, new conversations, new opportunities that actually hold a tremendous amount of potential and value for you. Now, you're in your second house energy with Scorpio season, and so the value of things is very much going to be on your mind, right? Now, Mars is shifting into Sagittarius on the 4th, and there's a little bit of a tense exchange with Uranus, and that's right ahead of a full moon in Taurus on the 5th. So early on in November, you know, there's an intensity. We feel very driven, but there's also some kind of a pressure, put under pressure, or finding yourself put in a position unexpectedly with regards to something. And right ahead of that full moon, you know, it's going to bring up maybe a mixed bag of emotions. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of really powerful and actually quite beautiful realizations that you're going to have. And, you know, maybe that puts you back in touch with kind of like a lost part of yourself. It's almost just like, oh, there you are, right? And so there's a need to kind of claim something. And that full moon in Taurus, of course, you know, is showing particularly how stable and secure you feel in regards to situations in your life at this moment in time. And that's going to give you a little bit of a heads up as perhaps what needs some focus, what needs some care and attention. And, you know, November is an ongoing dialogue in terms of becoming prepared and taking care of things. And, you know, whilst it may feel like, you know, the stakes are quite high in regards to some things, you know, that energy of judgment sort of putting you at a crossroads moment, you're kind of turned away. So maybe something that you're not quite ready to face, or you know it's coming and there's a sense of just like, oh gosh, I've got to deal with this. And you know, that can be tough, especially if you felt that honestly there's a bit of numbing out going on, just because of the overwhelm of what this year has delivered, and particularly on a collective level, right? You know it's going to take some time to process. I think it's not about forcing things this month, but it is about seeing where you are being directed, okay? And, you know, when this emerges in terms of, you know, almost this moment, this sort of nexus point that comes in, there's a sense of looking back because it helps to orientate you, right? And we're going to also find with Uranus going back into Taurus, there is a sense in some ways, Libra, of like a familiar territory, you know, themes that you've worked with over the last 8 years kind of coming back around to be understood in a new way. But at the same token, like this crossroads moment, this decision, this major life event and change is also about the future, right? So we can't stay stuck looking back. We're still going to have to find the bravery, the bottle, if you like, to be able to kind of look this directly in the eye and go, okay, I'm here and I'm ready. And, you know, I think that the stripping back that can be done in November can also be really supportive for you, because it's almost like if things feel just overly complicated, we just want to reprioritize, and we want to kind of put to one side the things that are not really that important right now, and just get back to like the one or two things that really need your time, energy and attention, and let everything else wait. And when I think you bring that attitude and that approach, you're going to find it a lot easier to embrace how November wants to work with you. I think November is a great preview time, particularly for what we're, you know, anticipating for the year ahead. So pay attention to that. You've got your Queen of Wands, you see, you know, you're actually dealing really admirably And again, there's a little bit of fire in your belly with regards to something. There's a huge surge of creative juice and energy as well to tap into. It's like you see the potential of something, and maybe you're even realizing how Spirit are now directing you. They've placed you on a particular path. You've been brought online in some way, shape, or form. And there's definitely still a time of, adapting and just kind of settling and sort of finding a new rhythm. And I think in some ways, even though we've got fire, I want to say that for you this month, it's like the element of water that you're going to want to embrace. It's kind of like, the endless opportunity, just, like an ocean communicates to us, or the flow of a river, or the clear reflection of a mountain lake. I just feel like water as a healing sacred tool, as a language from the cosmos, is here to really help to heal and to help you find your sacred flow. Now, the one thing that we can see here with the roots deep but actually blossoming and moving quite quickly, and then this sunflower which is just growing at a rapid rate. So it shows me that something that you put time, energy and focus on in November actually has the ability to sort of defy timelines and actually move much quicker than you'd anticipate. And that is also in the backdrop of, retrograde energies, including Mercury, which is back spinning in Sagittarius on the 9th. And I think maybe that returning to something about yourself, like remembering something in yourself, is going to be super helpful and important. And you may find there's an ongoing friction, with someone. That Queen of Wands can still feel a bit irked, a bit frustrated, but channel it in the right ways, because it feels to me that friction just requires passage of time. So that it can really teach you how to carry it differently. It feels like, is there a resolution on the horizon? Maybe not immediately. It's just about finding a way to hold this energy until you have the time, the capacity, the space to be able to go deeper into it. And maybe that's not right now, and maybe that's okay. Yeah. Boundaries can bring you peace as long as you don't let guilt or doubt erode them this month, Libra, okay? Now, on the 11th, 11-11 portal, we're also going to see Jupiter going retrogrades in Cancer. There's a gift here, there's a reward, there's something bountiful to tap into. You've got Four of Wands, there's celebration, there's balance, there's a connectedness, there's kind of being on the same page as, the energy that's around you. And you kind of just feeling like elevated in some way. I think that there's a foundation that's being built upon, and the foundations are good. And I love the fact that it sits underneath that Ace of Pentacles, because again, it shows me the seeds, the potential, like what it is that's coming in by way of offers, proposals, interest, the things you're initiating. It's got something really strong backing it. And back to what I said about when you know what you stand for, it really feels like there's just everything else kind of falls away, and there's just like a clarity of purpose, that's going to be super beneficial for you. And of course, Jupiter's bounty amplifies anything it zones in on. So right now in that transit, the focus is about becoming, that which you seek. What does it mean to be the version of me that's going to welcome in all of this growth and allow for this change in my life to happen? Beautiful realizations are going to keep coming, I'm telling you. It's going to be really quite special. But sometimes it's our own heart that is the hardest to understand. And in a retrograde energy, that can feel a bit challenging. We can feel like we're being rewired, but an awful lot can be lost in translation. And then we've got all the tech and the travel stuff and all the usual nonsense that comes along with this time. But what do we want to embrace? Just pausing, slowing down, taking stock, reading the room differently, looking at nonverbal communication, picking up things you wouldn't ordinarily, because the things that you're normally tapped into are making no logical sense. You've got the Five of Pentacles, and there's just a reminder here to take care of yourself. There's something about neglect here. What are you neglecting, notably in yourself? What is your body, your mind, your heart, your soul been craving and asking for? What have you been putting on the back burner, putting on hold, pushing to one side? It just feels like the tank is a little empty here. And maybe you feel a bit hollow. Maybe there is a little bit of a void. Maybe there is a gap in your life that, is now needing to be filled with something. Maybe the departure or the ending of something happened. Maybe there's a sense of feeling like there's not enough of something right now. But let's really look directly in the eye of that scarcity or that lack or that neglect, and really think from a synonym perspective, the complete opposite also exists within you. And all we want to do is turn our focus in a different direction. The lights behind you are indicating refuge, sanctuary, warmth, light, energy. We can bring this back to life. Something can rejuvenate, because look at the growth. And we also have to be mindful that we're not self-sabotaging, that, you know, we start to see some progress somewhere and then maybe there's a falter or a step change or a slowdown with retrogrades, and all of a sudden you're picking it apart, or you're coming from that place of doubt and you're eroding something. So remember to keep bringing more abundance and opportunity and expansion into your world. You have to keep fueling all of the things, and that includes you. Your energy needs to be topped up and vibrant and radiant. And again, I get it. Against a backdrop of things that are going on, it can be hard to just do sometimes the most basic of things. But take the time, because we know that life is shaped in those day-to-day choices that are coming through. Vesta in Capricorn, asteroid goddess of heart and home, taking care of that sacred inner flame, the thing that keeps you burning brightly, the thing that keeps you going, right? In Capricorn, so we have a sort of focus and an earthiness and a kind of, this is what it's going to take, this is what we need to do. So I like that. I think it'll be really supportive to help you kind of turn this around in the way that you need to. We're then approaching our new moon in Scorpio on the 19th. You are going to be evaluating, particularly around second house, like how money is coming to you. And maybe there's a desire to sort of look at that differently. Maybe the way things are coming in just feels like too much hard work. You know, the exchange is off, or the pressure, the responsibility becomes too much. And maybe it's just not delivering in terms of the expectations or what you need, what you require. Again, I think when you get clear about what matters, what you're standing for, the value of things, it's going to bring this new focus to help you start to evolve and allow a different type of experience to really root in for you. Okay? This also, if it's been like an ongoing dialogue, you know, if there's been a perpetual sense of challenge in regards to it just not being enough, that's also at times taking its toll. So we can have these bursts of energy, right? And you've definitely got it in November, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. But at the same time, the backdrop, the undercurrent, you know, still feels like there's something that needs to shift and needs to change, you know. You have a lot, and it's almost like, I kind of want to say careful what you wish for as well, right? Because something could start to show itself and then you kind of throw a lot of weight behind it, or you put a lot of energy into it, and then all of a sudden it becomes quite consuming, and it's sort of, you know, you kind of bit off more than you can chew, or it's sort of like it's gonna require a lot more than you anticipated. So keep that mindful, and again it goes back to the boundaries and sort of how you really want to show up, and again keeping things simple so they don't become over complicated for you. I think that's going to make a massive difference. So at that new moon, you know, set about your intentions from a perspective of, you know, how can I make this easier? You know, what is it going to take to really release the energy of pressure or lack or scarcity, or giving out too much and not getting back enough, or, you know, constantly running on vapor, you know, from that kind of place. And know that this is a valuable sort of insight and a realization that's really going to, again, put you back in touch with a part of yourself, Libra. When you come into Sagittarius energy, we've got some beautiful conversations flowing, because Saturn's going to go direct on the 27th, Mercury on the 29th, and that just feels like there will be some release and let up of that energy. But remember, Saturn is like the tough taskmaster, is kind of asking, you know, what is it you've learned? How have you made changes? And, you know, we are tracking back into a lot of like older energy after this burst of like new conversations that came through in the earlier part of this year. So, you know, figuring out who you are now and what the world looks like to you and how you want to relate and respond to it can feel quite intense, but there is a lightness at the same time that's coming through, okay? There really is. I feel like for you, this month of November puts things in context in a really strong way, reprioritizes you to really address something in the right way, and that has a very long-term impact in a positive light if you can allow yourself to sort of push through and really follow through in regards to something, okay? If you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards we look at in my extended reading, we'll talk for another 25 minutes or so. We'll look at a personal and a relationship card for you as well. So I hope that you will, if you're resonating and in a position to do so, come check it out. I'm just going to clarify these cards, see the direction that we're taking this. We've got Page of Pentacles coming through and 7 of Cups. All my seasonal offers come out in November, so please be sure to check them out over on my website, romywiser.com, and you'll find ways to work with me and anything that is available to really support you on your spiritual journey, okay? Another nice ace coming in there, 9 of Cups as well, 7 of Wands. You're definitely up against some challenges, you know, sort of feeling at times you're swimming against the tide, but I think in some ways that's why we talked about, you know, the need to kind of work with that element of water, you know, and discover its real teachings for you actually in this month, Libra, because I think that's going to make a huge difference as to the attitude that you can kind of bring forth into situations. Let's have a look at Life Soul Vision Oracle here. Heart energy, beautiful. The Sun, lovely. Queen of Fire, clarifying that Queen of Wands, beautiful. Queen of Water, there we go. New Moon, and Alchemize the Egg. There's some beautiful empowered energy coming through in your oracles. Let's look at one more for Libra for the month of November. Precognition, psychic ability, future vision. Remember, Scorpio season has an alchemical magic to it, and you'll absolutely be receiving more transmissions this month that make such sense to you, actually, in really powerful ways. But be fluid, be adaptable. You know, these retrogrades can be upheavaling a little bit. You're being challenged in the way that you think and how you approach and show up to things. But actually you emerge for me really strong and sort of purposeful. Now, I hope you'll join me for the extended. We'll go deeper and we'll see where we're going to take this reading for you. Have a beautiful month of November. Thanks for showing your support. I'll see you.